And we'll have a detailed look this morning at the Prime Minister's visit to the US, as will Mike Bowers in Talking Pictures.
I love that picture of the standing ovation, though.
Yeah.
It's just rose amongst the thorns.
And doesn't it set itself off nicely against the Stars and Stripes?
It does, yes. I think it actually works pretty well. She's colour coordinated her outfit for the flag.
The Star Spangled Ringer.
This morning our program guest is the Treasurer Wayne Swan, but before then we'll check out the Sunday papers around the country, and as you would expect, all of the early pages are devoted to the earthquake and the tsunami in Japan. Andrew Bolters will see now most of the headlines are focused on the potential for a nuclear emergency. That's the most dominant feature.
It's a bit sad, isn't it? I mean, there's 10,000 people missing in some cities, and all we can worry about is this essentially a political symbol in the debate. Nuclear power. Look, the Chernobyl reactor was a disaster that was hyped enormously. Peter Garrett said it killed 30 or 40,000 people. It killed, in the end, about 50. Let's see whether this turns out to be any more deadly. If it does, it'll turn out to be a significant political impact in our discussions too about nuclear power.
It could go one of two ways. It could, if there isn't a serious situation emerging here, it could demonstrate that nuclear reactors can survive the worst earthquake that Japan has ever had.
Well, I suspect that may well turn out to be the case, but I mean, don't underestimate the ability of the Green Movement to beat it up. At this stage, Ziggy Sikorsky, our leading nuclear expert in the country, says that it's a lower level of emergency than the Long Island disaster, which ended up killing no one.
Yeah.
But with the Chernobyl thing, Andrew, there was, for decades, there were health problems with people.
There were alleged health problems.
Well, there was such a cloud of secrecy around information that was released. I don't think we ever really knew, the wider world knew the
we do,
full
actually.
extent.
No, the UN and a number of bodies and Russia and Ukraine all got together in 10 years after and 20 years after. You know now the results, and it's about the total deaths. Most of them occurred in the explosion itself, and since then it's amounted to about 50.
Well, stay on
3
Japan.
Mile Island, I think you're referring to, rather than Long Island.
3 Mile Island, sorry.
That incident, they've actually opened another reactor in that precinct. And I think the nuclear issue is something that we've got to talk about, seeing it's been raised. And I think it underlines one fact, and that is Australia is one of the most geologically stable places in the world on which you could build nuclear reactors, and I think that point's been driven home.
And Malcolm, Andrew did mention the reports of cities losing it. There's one city in particular that's the subject of some disturbing reports this morning.
There are two statistics that have got me. One I read that this earthquake had moved the island of Honshu, the main island of Japan, 8 feet to the right, to the east. That is just extraordinary. On a much more human and much more heartbreaking statistic is this town in Miyagi Prefecture that had a population of 17,000. They cannot account for 10,000 of those people from the one town.
Well, let's take a look now at a rather graphic illustration of that from the UK's Channel 4.
What we're seeing here is aerial footage from Japanese television showing damage to the town of Minami-Sanriku, which is a town north of Sendai, the regional capital. Highlighted are a hospital and a 2-storey government building, and you can see the town before the tsunami struck. And then as the image changes, this is the really shocking image afterwards, where you can see everything has just been swept away or covered in this sludge, and only the hospital remains, the city office is gone, and all contact has been lost.
Quite extraordinary. And Kevin Rudd on News 24 has just said that he's had a conversation with the Japanese Foreign Minister. He made some offers, but he also made a demand. Here he is.
I spoke to this again specifically about with the Japanese Foreign Minister on the phone last night, and said that we and the rest of the international community need urgent briefings on the precise status of these reactors, and we are seeking further corroboration of the technical and safety impacts of this from the Japanese government.
That man is a disgrace. Here he is trying to insert himself yet again in the news. with some sort of beat-up about the nuclear emergency, are demanding information from the Japanese Foreign Minister as if he doesn't have better things to do, like seeking help digging out 10,000 of his people from the wreckage, and here's this showboater saying, you know, give me information, we demand it. Why do we demand it?
We and the international community. I think if the international community were making such demands, I'd do it through the Secretary-General of the UN.
You would have thought.
But why does Kevin Rudd need this information now? Let me tell you, the danger that we face from this reactor is this: zero. And here he is, showboating. He is a disgrace.
All right, we'll leave the papers there. In the early hours of this morning, the Prime Minister flew back into Canberra after her week-long visit to the United States. She had to cancel a visit to Hawaii and the American military facilities there because of the tsunami scare in her absence. The Treasurer, Wayne Swan, has been acting as Prime Minister, and he joins us now from Brisbane.